Hi, I'm Michael Ludwig, Waterways in Paradise, powered and anchored by Keller Williams Realty. And today I'm here to discuss VA loans with the real expert, Louis Farris, mortgage lender. Hey, Louis, how you doing?
Michael, doing great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me and having me on your show.
I just need to be able to learn more of how we can help our veterans, with loans and everything and go into some of the details. So let's get started.
No, I think that's great because in the many years I've been in this business, I've been shocked as to how many people I've spoken to who have served in the military, who don't know about the benefit, and those that do maybe have a lot of misconceptions about it. They certainly aren't privy to all of the benefits that come along with it, and so I thought it would be a great idea for you and I to go over this stuff very quickly, highlight those benefits, and create more of an awareness, to hopefully help more of our veterans out there who have earned this benefit and help them achieve their home ownership goals. So I've got some quick details here that we can go over, and if you have any questions, certainly don't hesitate to ask. Stop me if there's something you want to dive into a little bit deeper. But again, this is really just all about covering all the benefits at a high level. The most powerful home buying tool. I've always been of this mindset because there literally is no other loan that's better than a VA loan out there for multiple reasons, and we'll go over those here in a second. But I think first of all, we should talk about like who's eligible to take advantage of this type of program. And so you'll see here on the screen that it does talk about who might be eligible, active duty and Coast Guard. So this is something that came up when I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago. I didn't even realize that Coast Guard was also eligible for VA financing. So I wanted to make sure that we highlighted there. And I know that you're affiliated with the Coast Guard. Is that right?
Oh yeah, been a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary for 18 years. Yes. Big
Perfect.
Coast
Yeah. So,
Guard fan. My son was a Marine. My dad was in the Navy. So,
yeah.
yeah, um,
Yeah, so we
very,
definitely want to make sure.
yeah.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody knows about it. Yeah, I tried to coach everybody who I've worked alongside with or who's worked underneath me in the business to ask every single applicant that they talk to and find out, if they've served in the military or if their spouse has served in the military. And again, we'd be shocked to find out how many people don't even know that they're eligible for this. So active duty, Coast Guard, veterans, obviously, as long as they've been honorably discharged, they have to have a DD 214. National Guard and reservists, they're eligible as well. I just closed one for a National Guard reservist about 6 months ago. And then surviving spouses. So, if there was, say, a wife whose husband has passed away, but he was eligible for that type of financing, as long as she has not remarried, she would be eligible to take advantage of this loan program.
Okay, so my first question is just so I'm clear on this, is that whether they're veterans, active duty, it doesn't have to be only first-time home buyers. So in other words, if let's just say they've been out, they're a veteran, they've had success in the civilian world even, okay? And as long as they're buying a primary property, primary home, and and they don't have any other loan on another home, they're eligible for this. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And actually, technically, they can have more than one VA loan.
Okay,
That's probably for another conversation, or maybe as that particular scenario might pop up with one of your
right.
buyers. But it doesn't have to be for a first time purchase. They can reuse a VA loan over again.
Okay.
That's a big misconception with a lot of the government type loans like FHA or VA loans. People think that it's only for first time buyers and they can only use it once, which is not the case. They can use it multiple times.
All right.
All right, so moving on, let's talk about the benefits. So,
Wow.
three reasons why VA loans are better than every other loan program out there. The biggest one is the zero down payment. And, every loan program has down payment requirements except for this one. It's a true zero down program. And in many cases, it could be a zero out of pocket home purchase. If structured properly, they have a great realtor like yourself who can negotiate for the seller to pay their closing costs. They could literally get into a house with $0 out of pocket.
Wow.
No private mortgage insurance, no PMI. So, if they want to put a little bit of money down, but it's not the 20%, it's still a great program to go through. Um, but yeah, I mean, regardless, one of the biggest reasons is because they don't have that monthly charge of mortgage insurance when somebody puts less than 20% down when buying a home. So that's, a few $100s a month in most cases. And then the lower interest rates. This is a big one. It's probably the best priced mortgage program out there. Day after day, it's going to have the best interest rates available to any buyer out there. And again, another big reason why a veteran should be taking advantage of this program, even if they don't need to put zero down. Maybe they have a big down payment. They can still take advantage of this and take advantage of the fact that there's a lower interest rate on that versus every other loan that would be available to them.
Well, I'm just reading at the bottom here where it says impact on a $400,000 purchase. VA loan saves an estimated $400 to $600 a month versus a conventional. I mean, that's
Yeah.
huge. You know.
Yeah, you couple in the fact that there's no mortgage insurance, a few $100s there, and then, the lower interest rate. You take those 2 benefits, and it definitely can add up as a very big savings. That's on a monthly basis, but if you look at it on an annual basis or, 10 years down the road, there's gonna be a massive savings for them.
Wow.
And there's additional benefits, the limited closing costs. Let's stop here real quick and talk about one of the biggest misconceptions. I think you might even have some background on this or have talked to other agents maybe who are under the impression that VA loans are not a good loan um, to accept if you were a seller because historically, sellers had to pay closing costs for veterans who were using a VA loan. But that was a long time ago. But yeah, for some reason, that stigma still kind of lingers, and we really want to create that awareness that is no longer the case. The seller does not have to pay the buyer's closing costs at all when it comes to leveraging a VA loan. So we want to make that clear right now. All that being
Okay.
said, closing costs are reduced for veterans versus any other civilian buyer, and that adds up to, in most cases, probably a couple $1,000s back in their pocket. um, and so yeah, that's one big benefit. There's no prepayment penalty, so they can pay off the loan at any point in time. They can pay down the loan at any point in time without incurring any penalty for doing so. Here's one of the bigger benefits that not many people are aware of, which is the assumability of the loan. I've seen a few examples
Wow.
recently, like in the last 12 months, of people who ended up buying a home. They were initially going through me, but they found a home that had an assumable VA loan on it from the COVID era. And, we know interest rates were in the twos in some cases, mostly in the threes at that point in time. Well, those sellers who have that 3% VA loan on their current home can go to market and advertise, hey, if you buy my house, you can assume the loan that I have for the current balance that's on it, and you get the 3% interest rate versus paying 6.5% of what the current market rate is. So as a seller, it's a high value proposition and a way to really set your home apart from the neighboring homes that are also for sale. Because on those other homes, the buyer's not going to be able to get, a very low rate, like in that example I gave. So, that's another big feature when thinking about down the road when it comes time to sell.
That's a huge golden nugget right there. So any veteran listening that needs to relocate and needs to sell their home, they need to make sure that if they contact me to list their home, that we really dive deep into that and come back to you and really understand that and market that, because that is huge, you know,
Yeah,
huge.
and the person who's assuming the loan does not have to be a veteran. It can be
That's what I mean.
anybody.
This is huge,
Yeah,
huge,
yeah. So that's a
huge
big,
golden
big
nugget.
selling point. Yeah.
Yeah.
The flexible credit guidelines. So it is probably the most flexible loan out there when it comes to qualifying. I won't get into too much detail, but I can say that we've closed loans for veterans that there's no way that any other type of loan out there could have got it done. But through the flexibility of this program, it creates a lot of pathways that you know many other doors may have closed for that particular buyer. Side note on that, when it comes to the flexible credit guidelines, it also applies to the loan amounts, and I wanted to touch on that real quick because many people don't realize that there's also no loan limit to a VA loan. So the veteran will guarantee any loan as long as the veteran is eligible. The restrictions on that come from lender to lender, but here at Hoot Home Loans, we work with, I think we're up to 83 different lenders now, and we're last I heard we could do VA loans up to about $3 million, somewhere in that range.
Get a pretty
So
nice waterfront property for that.
yeah, so and then if you're talking about jumbo loans, anything that's over say 900,000 and above,
Yeah,
generally on a conventional loan, those interest rates are going to be higher because
right.
they're technically more risk for a lending institution. So, give you an example today, if somebody was to try and get a jumbo loan to purchase a home, they might pay somewhere in the 6.75 range on an interest rate. If it was a VA loan, that's going to be probably 5.9.
Wow.
So, yeah, it doesn't apply just to that, starter home type price range. This can apply to luxury real estate as well. And then, of course, the lifetime benefit. We talked about that. It's not a one-time use. They can use it as many times as they want.
I
So,
think that's a big golden nugget that um, realtors aren't aware of, to tell their veteran clients, customers, Um,
yeah, I think that it should be just like what I try to do with the people that I mentor and have mentored in the business in the past to always ask, "Hey, did you or your spouse serve in the military?" I think taking that 2 seconds to ask every buyer that you're working with could uncover a lot of opportunity. Not only is it going to make you look like a hero because you're going to get them a better loan with all these additional benefits, but because of the flexible credit guidelines, a lot of times they can qualify for more house by leveraging a VA loan versus a conventional loan. So if they need to increase their buying power, this is going to be the tool that can get that particular buyer there. But if we're not asking the questions, nobody's really volunteering that information, when you're sitting down them to do your consult. So I think it's a great question for lenders and realtors to ask every time.
I'm definitely going to make sure I ask it more often and not assume.
Every time.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So yeah, and at the end of the day, this slide right here says it all. I mean, if you served, you deserve to use this benefit. It's
Absolutely.
definitely underutilized, right? Many veterans again don't realize that they qualify. And working with somebody like myself who has done many VA loans in the past is going to know the benefits and how to structure it properly, how to leverage the different aspects of it that can help them get more home, get into a home with $0 out of pocket. And as far as like the average closing time, historically, you'll see right here, it does take a little bit longer for a VA loan, only because there are some factors that are outside of your control as the agent or my control as the loan officer because the VA is involved. So, we do have to get verification of their entitlement for the benefit through the VA, and the appraisal has to be ordered also through the VA. So, but outside of that, I mean, most of the verifications and validations that the VA needs to do are all electronic now, which is nice. I would say closing less than 30 days, certainly for us, is not an issue at all. Property types. Oh, real quick before we wrap up, single family homes is kind of where this thing really shines. And single family homes can also include townhomes as well. Um, as far as condos go, this is this is a
That's a sticky
sticky
area. Yeah.
it's a sticky area, and in our market, we have a lot of condos. So I don't advise this type of loan for condos only because not only does the buyer have to be approved, but then separately, the condo association and property management has to also be vetted and approved and make sure that the whole development is meeting the requirements of VA. And that process, that takes a little bit of time and it's never a guarantee. Matter of fact, I would say the VA doesn't necessarily want to do a lot of VA stuff, and maybe that's why there's a lot of red tape. Um, but I would avoid any condo purchases with this. If they want something that lives like a condo, again, they can look at townhomes, and that would absolutely apply. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in there and make sure that we
So,
talked about that.
so we have a lot of developments that have single family homes and townhomes in them that have HOA. So you're saying that is not a stumbling block. That's
No.
pretty much going to work just fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
HOA is not a problem. It's only when it's a condo.
Because when the
Uh,
word condo comes up, that's where it can get a little interesting.
yeah, exactly. And interesting is putting it lightly for sure. I
Well,
wouldn't recommend it. If somebody was going to buy a condo, I would say we need to look at a different loan program for that
okay.
buyer.
But just to
Um,
repeat one more time, single family homes with HOAs in developments, gated or whatever, as long as it's a
yeah.
condo or townhouse, we're okay.
Yeah, manufactured
No, as
homes
long as it's
too.
a single family home or a townhouse, we're okay. Condos,
Yeah,
we're gonna look a different direction. Okay?
correct. Yeah. I mean, so that's it in a nutshell. Just short and sweet to the point. I think if anybody has any questions or they've made it this far and they want to know more, they can reach out to you. Your contact information is right there on the screen. They can reach out to me. My phone number is on there also. But again, the purpose of this was to get together and talk about the benefits and start creating more awareness. And so hopefully, if we can just help one additional person, it's a big win. So the goal is to service a lot more.
Absolutely. And on behalf of myself, and I think I can say on behalf of Lewis, and Hoot Loans, Waterways in Paradise, we are just honored and grateful for you, the veteran, and the active duty for everything you do for our country. So stay safe,
Absolutely.
and thank you so much for everything you do. This is Mike Ludwig and Lewis. We're out.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Mike. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.